Hi Scrubs, I hope you're well. Welcome back to our speed guide.
In each video, we will summarize what's been covered in previous videos, in case you want to reference back. Links will be provided on screen.
In today's video, we are covering perfect starts, perfect boosts, and perfect jumps.
Before we break down a perfect start, let's talk about why it's important. A perfect start is important because your horse will get to its max base speed faster and gain gauge.
The amount of gauge obtained depends on whether you got a perfect or a good start. Let's look at a comparison of good and perfect gauge gain.
In order to perform a perfect start, you have to rear your horse. To do this, you must be stationary and press your jump key. You must wait for the horse to bounce, then press your accelerate key.
A perfect start can still be obtained after the race has begun, so don't panic if you miss the start timing and press the rear too late. Better late than early.
To optimize a perfect start with the countdown, we want to time when we rear to no sooner than 1.5. If you rear any later, you will get a late or very late perfect start. Let's take a look at a comparison.
If you fail to wait for the proper time and press accelerate either too late or too early, you will get a good start. Or if you rear way too early, you'll fail to obtain a good or a perfect start. Better late than early.
If you are struggling with perfect starts, simply go to the bottom of your screen in your ranch. Click Game, and then Training. Select Time Practice, and select any racetrack which does stationary starts, excluding the racetracks. Then attempt a perfect start, and if you wish to retry, then immediately click Shift R, which will restart the race. This will allow you to practice your perfect starts as much as you need without having to run the whole race.
A perfect jump is obtained by jumping over the center of an obstacle.
There is a small area that is considered the center. As long as you hit that area, you can get a perfect jump. The small jumps will always grant a perfect jump no matter the position, as long as you jump over it.
Skill Generous expands the perfect jump area, and we will go over this in more detail in Part 7.
After each perfect jump, a counter on screen will start. If you fail to jump over the center, it will break your perfect jump streak, resetting the streak to 0.
Perfect jump streak determines the amount of gauge you gain from the jump.
The blue indicates the gauge you would have gotten if you landed a perfect jump at this point in the streak.
The orange indicates the gauge you would have gotten if you failed your perfect jump at this point in the streak.
On jump 1, we see no gauge difference. Keep in mind that every time you fail to get a perfect jump, the streak resets to 0.
On perfect jumps 2, 3, 4, and 5, we see the amount of gauge earned steadily increasing for each perfect jump.
On perfect jumps 6, 7, and 8, the amount of gauge earned is consistent and capped. No matter how high the chain, the amount earned will remain the same.
We tested perfect jumps in order to figure this out. If you would like to know the specifics, please contact us directly or check the video description.
The amount of gauge may not seem significant, but this could also mean the difference between having enough gauge to boost or not. Land as many perfect jumps as possible.
Other players can influence whether you get the perfect jump or not. You may find other players will be able to push you from your ideal position for obtaining a perfect jump. Boosting early or slowing down are both good options. Keep in mind your circumstances and adjust accordingly.
Last topic for today is boosting and perfect boost. Your boost speed is dependent on your stat build, boost chain, and if you've obtained a non-perfect or a perfect boost. A non-perfect boost is obtained on the very first boost or when you boost outside of the perfect boost range on the gauge. This is considered the base boost speed. For example, the base speed for a non-perfect booster 2 on a 120 speed horse is 112. Perfect boosts only apply in single speed, and they can only be obtained from booster 2 onwards. To get a perfect booster, you must boost at the correct time within the perfect boost range on the gauge. Press your boost key when your current boost is about to expire. With a perfect boost, an additional speed bonus is applied at random above the base speed. You will randomly get a +1, +2, or +3 from what we could determine during testing. Let's take a look at the additional speed bonus from a perfect boost. As shown earlier, the base speed for a non-perfect booster 2 on a 120 speed horse is 112. Therefore, if you were to get a perfect booster 2 on a 120 speed horse, you have the possibility to get the following from the 112 base speed. If you get a +1, your speed will be 113. If you get a +2, your speed will be 114. And if you get a +3, your speed will be 115. Regardless of the position, range, and booster chain we boosted on, there was no consistency between where we received a +1, 2, or 3.
Now let's take a look at boost duration comparisons. Generally, you want to aim for a perfect boost and boost chains, also known as combos. What we mean by this is stringing them together. Your strength stat determines what the max possible chain is. We have 3 different horses we are going to show you. Remember, adding armor, adjusting a split stat, or how close you choose to boost the end of your current boost can change this outcome. First up is a rental with 120 speed and 22 strength. Let's take a look at a 3-chain booster duration. The boost duration lasted roughly 2.8 seconds. Now let's take a look at a 7-chain booster duration. The boost duration lasted roughly 8 milliseconds. The max booster chain we were able to obtain on this build is 7. Second up is Kosetsu's horse Soren with 73 speed and 73 strength. Let's take a look at a 4-chain booster duration. The boost duration lasted roughly 3.2 seconds. Now let's take a look at an 8-chain booster duration. The boost duration lasted roughly 8 milliseconds. The max booster chain we were able to obtain on this build is 8. Lastly is a rental with 120 strength and 22 speed. Let's take a look at a 5-chain booster duration. The boost duration lasted roughly 3.5 seconds. Now let's take a look at a 10-chain booster duration. The boost duration lasted roughly 6 milliseconds. The max booster chain we were able to obtain on this build is 10. Booster duration will diminish as the chain goes higher, so the return for a higher chain is not always necessarily worth it. Over time you will learn with your specific horse build how to boost effectively and when to stop chaining for optimal speed gain versus boost time. Knowing when and where to boost is just as important as knowing when not to boost. Your own current circumstances greatly impact this, including the racetrack stats, etc. Some examples include early boosting on a full strength horse to not be outpaced by a full speed horse, holding a boost around a sharp corner to ensure you don't take the turn too wide or hit the wall, or doing a small chain so you don't lose any boost gauge while setting up for a longer chain later in the race. This covers all the topics for today's video, so anyway scrubs, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you had a lovely day, and bye guys!